want to give a very warm welcome to our I Help Moms potty training guru, and she is an RN of like over 2 decades experience and has
Yes.
5 kids. So we are going to Coach Anna, our I Help Moms potty training expert today, to talk all things back to school, preschool potty training. So welcome, Coach
All
Anna.
right. Hello, everybody.
All right, let's kick it
Welcome
off.
back
So
to school.
yes, getting ready. So, Coach Anna, how do you know if a child truly is preschool ready? And what should parents do now in August if that child isn't quite ready yet without causing stress and pressure?
So, I have to say, by the time they hit preschool, they are 100% physiologically ready, unless they have some kind of developmental delay, right? But in general, a neurotypical child with no type of, developmental delays should be ready by physiologically ready. I think more is the emotional and the habitual non-readiness, right? Like this kid is just used to peeing and pooping in the diaper for now we're talking about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's up to now the parent to start kind of like, instilling these new habits in the child. So I always tell parents like, preschool is going to come in September or in August for some people. Like you must, not try, you must start instilling steps, not a week before. Don't try a weekend before because now this is a child who's 3 or 4 years old. So they have this habit ingrained. You're not talking about a 2-year-old. And you must start like at least like 2 months before, just just to not stress yourself out as a parent because this child is going to likely resist if you try to cram it into them. If you try to make a habit like switch overnight, it's not going to go well for anybody in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
So, predominantly the child, So it's going to cause a lot of stress. So I tell parents they need to start instilling steps at least 2 months. And how do you know that they're ready? If they haven't shown signs that they're ready by 3 or 4 years old, if they have not shown signs, that means that you must intervene as a parent and start making them practice new habits.
I love it. Obviously,
Mhm.
at I Help Moms, we created an app for exactly what you're talking about. We give
Yes.
parents a free potty training pathway so you can see those steps. It actually has a custom built technology in it that matches your parenting style, whether you're more of an attachment parent, whether you're a parent that's going back to work and you need more of like a modern balance, let's go. There's 5 different types of kind of
Yes.
parenting profiles, and then we match you to create that pathway, and then they book a call with you to get specific steps to decrease the stress and increase the connection. And that's like the biggest reason that I love working with you at I Help Moms is that these are developmental milestones that our kids always go through. I remember with my own daughter sitting in mommy and me, and the moms were like, "Oh my gosh, my kid's a genius, went on the potty, they're the
Yes.
best." And oh my god, my kid has started. I don't even
Right.
know my kids behind. I'm gonna go to the pediatrician right now. Like I was so
Yeah.
stressed. And of course, Ron had 2 kids, 3 kids, and it was like, it's all good, people. But I need Coach Anna to
Exactly.
help coach me in my own mindset. So tell me, you know, I'm a parent of a 3.5-year-old getting ready to go to preschool when they're turning maybe like 4-ish. And what is the habit that we could do discussing in our consultation that would help get me set up for a stress-free transition to preschool? What's kind of that number one habit that you would advise me right now in the beginning of August to start working on daily with my child for connection, not yelling, not pressuring at my child, but connection through the process?
Yeah. So this is a child who's already talking, right? They're already talking. They've very advanced in many areas. So I would to one of the things, right? Because you
Yeah.
could do a couple of angles, but one of the things, if you want to go really gradual and in a non-stressful way, is to start telling the child to communicate with you. Like,
Mhm.
every time you do pee pee, I need to know. I don't want to find you with your diaper full of urine. Like I want you to come to me and tell me that you just did pee pee because then we're gonna sit on the potty. And it doesn't have to, yes, like parents are going to be like, after they did pee-pee, yes, because now you're doing like an extremely gradual approach. So this is the parents who are trying to get a rhythm going on, right? Because most parents don't even know how often the child is peeing because they're in diapers. So when
Yeah.
I ask, how often are they peeing? They're like, I don't know. I change their diaper like maybe 3 times a day. Like they don't know because they haven't been in sync with that.
Yeah.
They really just, it's whatever. So the
Yeah.
child is whatever too. So you want to start learning the child's pattern, right?
Yeah.
How often are they really peeing? If they're 3 or 4 years old, they're probably peeing about 4 or 5 times a day. That's
Yeah.
usually the average, right? And they're probably pooping once a day.
Yeah.
I would try absolutely the number one thing that I would probably suggest is try to get their poop on a schedule. Like make sure they're pooping every day, because some kids are pooping like twice a week. And for you to train a child who's pooping twice a week, that's probably not gonna happen, right? You have, because the child, now you don't know when the child is pooping. So in order for you to train
Yeah.
the child to use the potty, the poop must fall in the potty. They have to make that connection.
Yeah.
Same thing with the urine, right? So start developing a little bit of a sitting
So,
pattern, a little practice pattern, and learn your child's pee and poop routine. That would be the number one thing I would say.
and I have exciting news for you and the moms watching. In our I Help Moms app, we created a completely free tracker for this purpose because
All
so
right.
many coaches are seeing and feeding and potty training were coming to us and are like, the parents don't know. So
They
we
don't
created
know.
a completely free tracker. All you need to do is push it when they go. That's it.
Yes.
And then you can send it right to Coach Anna in the app
Hmm.
so that when you
Yes.
have a conversation, she can just see.
I
And
could
then you
see
have
their pattern.
it's awesome. So make sure you download our free app. We literally created this to make potty training less stressful. So
Yes.
that leads me to my next question that we get from a lot of parents is we're doing a good job over the next month, Coach Anna. We're creating this healthy habits and communication, as you said, with our kids. But then they get to preschool and accidents start happening. You coached one of my dear friends who works at an amazing school, and she had a similar situation with her son.
Hmm.
And I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you work with parents when the teacher has 18 kids that they're trying to help potty train. How do you help the communication, the stress level, the cognitive overload that mom and child is feeling if they're having accidents at preschool?
Right. So the number one thing I tell moms, I always tell them, you can't expect your child to operate the same way in school as they do in your house, because home is their kingdom, right? This is where they feel the safest.
Yeah.
And school is where they're learning how to socialize and they're learning extra routines and activities. So the child is going to behave differently. So their patterns are going to change in school. Sometimes it's that they hold it for like no endless hours, right? I mean, I could tell you so many stories with school situations, but I think the number one thing is to have a really open communication. But the parent has to understand that these teachers are running, they have a job to do to keep these children safe. So it's not only your child. So it's usually in preschool, in the school system, they have a routine, which means everybody lines up and it's potty time and everybody goes to the potty at the same time. Some children are very shy about like using the potty in front of other people, right? They're very private. So that's something that has to be worked on. And I work with the parents with that. So I would also tell them that because school is a routine, it's not like, oh, Miss Smith, I have to go, and they're going to disrupt everything. That's why they have a routine. So I would tell them to place their child on a routine at home so that the child can follow suit in school,
Yeah.
right? So that would be the number one thing if the child's in preschool.
Yeah.
And if they start having accidents, then we would have to like tighten ship when it comes to the routine. The routine would have to get a little bit more rigid.
Yeah.
And also if the child is in tight underwear in school, one of the things I would say is those tight underwears have to go. Because what happens is they use it as a net, the child, and some people are like, it's so gross. Why don't they understand that they're wet or they're pooped on? They're children, right? So they don't really care. They're playing and they're distracted with the Play-Doh or with the activity and they feel the urge to poop. And they're like, screw it, I have a net here and it's going to catch it, which is my underwear. So I say, get rid of that. Just send them to school in like basketball shorts. because they know now with the big legs, the children are going to know this poop is going to roll down my leg and it's going to fall on the floor, and all the kids are going to see my poop on the floor. So they're not going to, you understand? So it's going to put a hard stop to the accidents usually.
Yeah.
But then the children will start withholding. So it's like this, we have to really work with the mom and the child in order for success to happen. But that's one of the things that I would say for sure.
I love that, and I'll never forget. I was in a stall. I was doing a service project and orientation, helping out at an organization, and I happened to go to the bathroom at the same time. A mom and a 3-year-old was in the stall, and the mom was just berating her son, like just yelling and embarrassing him. And I'm like, please call Coach Anna. Please call Coach Anna. Like, this is not healthy for anybody. Making her, and the 3-year-old was like jumping around for joy because like.
I know.
They were just being a 3-year-old. So I love that you
Right.
said that, because I've also had friends that try this 3-day potty training, like instant thing. And like her son had developmental delays and like she was yelling
Right.
at him. And I'll just
Yeah,
never
yeah.
forget being in that environment and
Yeah.
looking back and I'm like, when you have support like Coach Anna, when you have support like our free potty training app that literally creates
Yes,
a
it's
pathway,
so amazing. I love it.
you have the support you need to go to a school, to go to a teacher and say, I spoke to Coach Anna, who is a registered nurse, who is an expert potty trainer, and these are some of the things that she recommended. Could we partner together? So that's my next question for you. Like I said, we had an amazing friend that got the support that her son needed and actually changed the way her school approaches potty training. You literally changed the developmental connection that a school uses.
Love.
So
Hmm.
you just changed the world and made it a literal nervous system safe place at a school for
Yes.
children by your
Yes.
coach. So
Thank
talk
you.
to me about how you do that. How do you connect a teacher and a parent to communicate through this potty training challenging time, right? It's a
Right.
developmental milestone. Like, how do you do that as a coach?
To make the parent and the teacher connect.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
one of
Hmm.
the specialties that you do
Yeah.
is like you really give parents a clear, easy, loving pathway of like, this is what I need to
Yeah.
do. And then you coach them on how you can positively communicate. You know, you work in the medical field. You know, people don't like to be told that maybe what they're doing isn't optimal or their way isn't the right way.
Right.
So I think your medical background actually also helps you teach parents how to correctly communicate in a way that's compassionate.
Yes. Yes. So I always put in the forefront the fact that, the parent has to, even though the parent wants the best for the child, and usually it's like, oh, my child was doing so well at home and now everything's getting disrupted in school. So the very first thing that I say to, calm things down is like, these teachers are teaching, X amount of other children, right?
Yeah.
So we have to understand that part of it. And so the number one thing I say is the very first thing you have to do is you need to speak to the director and ask them what is their policy. Learn their policy first. What's the school
Yes.
policy when it comes to that school and the child using the potty?
Yep.
After you get the policy down pat, then because I'm a true believer that the rules are meant to be bent, right? Rules are meant to be broken, right? Like this, it's just you have to. It's there. The policies are there, but you can bend things. So I say you're gonna go nicely to the director and say, listen, this is what's happening at home, and all I ask is if you can work with me for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I'm going to do my best to try to tweak things over the weekend with my child. But can you allow, for example, can you allow him to be without diapers for 3 days to trial my son? Those are the words, right? To trial my son to make sure that they don't have a gazillion accidents.
Yeah.
If the child starts having a gazillion accidents, despite all the efforts that we're doing, then the school has to do what they have to do. And then you can, now that you know that they bent them for you,
Yeah.
you could say, okay, I understand you have to run a school. Okay, put my child back in the pull-ups against your better judge against what you want, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, maybe we can try this again in 2 weeks. Let me continue to try at home.
Yeah.
And then, you understand?
Yeah.
In the meantime, even though the child is in diapers, I'll tell the parents to tell the teacher, continue to sit him down on a schedule,
Yeah.
regardless if he goes.
Yeah.
Regardless. You understand? Just so that the schedule can stay.
Yeah.
And then in 2 weeks, you go and approach the director again. He's doing much better at home. May we please trial this for 3 more days? And that's how you work with them. You know what I mean?
I love this. And so, again, for the parents listening, we have two amazing resources to help you with a peaceful attachment parenting, kind parenting approach to this whole developmental milestone. One, make sure you're tracking at home on our completely free iHelpMoms app.
Yes,
So you can go to the director and say, this is what we're seeing at home. I'm tracking it. I am responsible and really trying to work here. So when you're
yes,
asking them to mold those rules a little bit, the director knows that you're taking it seriously and you have a tracker in place. Number
that's
two,
right.
over those 3 days, if a director and you need your kid in preschool, like, look, Coach Anna and I get it. We have a lot of kids in our houses. We know how important it is. But if you tell them, look, I'm working with an expert potty training coach for these next 3 days as well, and you book a consultation with Coach Anna, how much more seriously is that school going to take you than if you're like, can you please bend the rules for me? I'll do my best to try. Like, it's a
That's right.
totally different accountability conversation. So we have two
That's
amazing
right.
resources at iHelp Moms for you to help this whole process to be less stressful. One, our completely free potty training and tracker app, and Coach Anna, booking a call with her so you can let the director know, look, I've hired an expert potty trainer. I'm serious about this and I want to partner with you. Everyone loves to hear, I want to partner with you instead of pointing fingers, because that just doesn't help anyone. So another question I have for you, Coach Anna,
Absolutely.
going back to the mom yelling that has been forged in my brain forever and made me want to just continue to build an app for I Hope Mom's Potty Training. So I just feel so bad for that little boy still. Is
Yeah.
what is the biggest mistake you see parents make in the potty training journey?
By the way, I just want to say that that app is literally a game changer now that you've mentioned it, you know. That's why I love working with you because, you know, it's so much easier to organize and to come up with a plan that will work when you see actual trackers, right?
Yeah.
When you see trackers and you see how often the child is peeing, how often they're pooping, the consistency, when they're drinking a lot of fluids, when they're having an active day in the beach, like what changes. So
Yeah.
it's so important for me as the coach to see that, because if I see that, then I can modify things to help your child. Because, everybody thinks that there's this cookie cutter way to make this milestone stick on their child, and there's not. That's why I always tell parents, like, just shut your ears to like everybody who's trying to give you advice and just go with a coach, because it's not for me. It could be somebody else, but somebody that knows what they're doing, a teacher, a coach like me, because people are just going to come up to you and be like, oh, my kid potty trained in like a day. And it's so annoying, right? Because that's not true.
It's so annoying.
It's so annoying, so it's like, and then the person feels bad, and it's like, no, stop. Like, let me assist you. And the tracker is phenomenal because it just helps me put a plan in place to help their child succeed, which is pretty neat.
Love that. I love that. So, what would you say the biggest mistake you see that parents make in this developmental milestone that we all go through? What is the number one mistake you see?
Expecting it to be like quick. Like that's the number, like going in it so like, and my biggest culprits, I have to say that my biggest mommy culprits who do this is, believe it or not, the children who are super astute. Those kids who are super smart, super brainy, and are reading, are doing all these great things, they're like, oh, my child is brilliant. Oh, they're gonna for sure get this, right? And those are the kids who refuse potty training the most. It's such a bizarre thing to do. This is my POV, like my personal thought is they're so intelligent and they're so brainy that they don't care about this whole time they've just been pooping and peeing in their diaper and continuing to do their brainy stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's like, if I'm learning how to read and I'm learning how to code and I'm so brainy and all of a sudden I have to stop, I feel this urge. You mean I can't just poop and pee on myself and continue to do my stuff? Like I must stop. Now I must stop my brainy stuff and go to the bathroom, pee and poop, wash my hands. So it's this whole project for these children who are so super brainy. And then they have this, it's the parent like breaks down. They're like, oh my God, because they put their child on a pedestal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like, they are gonna like, why are they gonna smoke this? And it ends up not being like that. And I always tell the parent, it has nothing to do with their level of intelligence.
Yeah.
Nothing,
So
absolutely
good.
nothing. I remember one time I was training two children at the same time. One had autism and the other one was a neurotypical child. The autistic children smoked them out of the water. It was just like that autistic child got potty training so much quicker than the other child, and they had the same age
Yeah.
because, you know, autistic children really thrive on routine.
Yes.
And once you implement a routine on them and you bang
Yes.
it and you bang it and you bang it and it becomes part of their life,
Yeah.
it's going to fly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But meanwhile, the brainy child, you know what I mean, has all these activities that they want to do and they want to learn so much. So they're like, screw this. I want to pee and poop in my diaper. And that's the conflict. You know what I mean?
That's what I love. You obviously have a child that's on the spectrum. You have
Yes.
a lot of neurodivergent families that you help. So that perspective, I think, is just so healthy. And I love that you brought that up. And my bonus question that I want to ask you is, what should parents stop worrying about with potty training and start focusing on that would make this a lot more fun and less stressful?
Yes. Yeah. I think the one thing that I think parents should stop worrying about is if the child like just has random like accidents. I think parents get so fixated on like it's different if the child is having consistent like if they're having if all every time they pee is an accident, then they just need to get back on the bandwagon, right? We need to like retrain this child.
Yep.
But if they're just having one accident a day, right? And the parent like loses it. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe. And it's like, calm down. Like this child is still in the learning process, you know? Find out why they had that specific accident. What happened? What was going on during that time?
Yeah.
Maybe tighten up their schedule a little bit more. And oh, this is another thing that I think parents worry crazy about. They want their child to like train and become fully bathroom independent in the aspect of that they want the child to be like them. Like, oh, just go freely, get the urge and just go and just not be reminded and just not. And the parent is like, I constantly need to remind them to go. And I'm like, yes, because they're children.
I love
Because
it.
they're children.
So
You know what
many
I mean?
things.
So it's like, you know,
love
so I
it.
think, yeah, parents need to calm down with that. Like, calm down, you know? And I think they need to focus more on getting like, it doesn't even have to be a rigid schedule, but getting a loose schedule so that the mom and the dad can be less stressed and the child can be less stressed
Yeah.
out. Like if the child remembers that every time they wake up in the morning, they must sit down to pee, that's always going to start being a part of their routine. Before they leave the house, you must pee before you leave the house. I still do that with my teenagers. I'm like, wait, we're getting in the car. Everybody better use the bathroom because I'm not stopping 5 minutes into my trip.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like,
I love
so
everything you've said, and
yes,
I think my biggest takeaway is thinking of that as a net, and that the child is just learning to use that as literal safety net, and so
yes,
that really stuck with me. The other thing that really stuck with me that you can help parents develop a pathway, and using our iHelpMoms app free tracker in conjunction can really help you as a parent so that when you need to talk to a school director to advocate for your child, and like our friend that needed to talk with the administration about how the teachers were actually like facilitating this, using a resource like Coach Anna that can help provide you the tools, the communication tips, the actual development of things, the neurological development of what's going on, so that you have her as a resource as you go into some of these conversations to advocate for your child is night and day. It
yes.
shows that you are also being accountable and not just throwing spaghetti at a wall and
That's
expecting
right.
people to do it all and then getting upset. So I think that having Coach Anna as a resource, I mean, what, these parents are booking a 30-minute to an hour conversation with you, and boom, they've got a plan,
Right.
they have you as a resource. It's life changing. And the last thing that I want to talk about in that is when we talk about the neurology, when we talk about emotional regulation, when we talk about role modeling and our children watching how we deal with stress, when we see those parents that are expecting their child to potty train in 3 days and yelling and forcing and I've just seen it with my own eyes. Another instance where I was at an airport and we were all at Enterprise Rent-A-Car or Hertz or one of those, and the mom was just so angry that the little one had to use the potty at an inconvenient time. And I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, I'm like, there's like a misnomer of us expecting them, like you said, to be adults, and they're three. It just doesn't
Yes.
match up. So, I just want you to end our incredibly powerful conversation with so many tips talking about utilizing yourself as a coach, using our app free tracker so that you actually know when your child's going, and you have a notes section there to mark if you're going to the beach or you went on a trip and they had an accident, so you know what is the difference between a parent like you help and support getting proactive help and in the process versus the parent that's yelling or pressuring their child. What are the outcomes for the child mentally in all of this?
Oh, it's a complete different outcome. So usually the parent who's frustrated like that, and I get what it's like to be frustrated. I mean, you and I get what it's like to be frustrated. Like I don't want to sound like we don't get it. We get it, right? But the issue is that sometimes as parents we need just to bring it back, and just kind of like make ourselves aware of the fact that we are not dealing with a brain that is an adult brain. This is a child. And then children also feel everything we feel. So sometimes just getting that anger out of us is just that attention that they're seeking. Unfortunately, it's just what it is. And so I would, as opposed to the parent who's getting in actual help from a person like me, for example, I've been a maternal child nurse for almost 25 years. And I have my 5 children who I potty trained all before the age of 2, including my neurodiverse child. He didn't even speak and he was completely potty trained, because it's not about, again, the level of intelligence, what they're doing, if they're speaking. Like people like, he's not speaking yet. And I said, how do you think people who don't speak or have hearing difficulty or anything like that, how do you think they train? You think they become adults and then they train? No, like these are steps that you could implement working with me. I can make you put your child on a soft schedule, make them start habit training, right?
Yeah.
And then the skill will roll in. It'll be like almost as if you didn't train them. And I
Yeah.
love it when that happens. When I
Yeah.
work with a parent and it just happens as if they didn't do much work, that to me like is everything, right? Because it happened naturally.
Yes.
Versus the child who's being pressured because they need to hammer this down in a weekend because school is starting in a week, and it just becomes like mayhem.
Yeah. Yep.
And the tracker, by the way, is like gold. When you created that tracker, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Because I, for so many years, have been telling parents, you need to track. Like, how often are they doing this? How often are they pooping? How often are they peeing? When are they peeing? And the fact that you created that into your app is pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
I love
It's
working
game
with
changing for
you.
sure.
Well, guys, as you can see, I have so much love and gratitude for Coach Anna. She's one of our amazing premier coaches on ihelpmoms.com. You can book a live consultation with her, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, you name it. Nice and easy. Get a plan in place. You can download a completely free app. And also, you can buy her potty training stool, which is amazing, and it folds
Yay.
up for on the go. It's incredible for this last kind of session of summer travel, so that you don't have to be
Yeah.
stressed out. You've got literal El Potty
By the
nurse
way,
right in your pocket.
if they book, they get that potty for free. If they book. Just so
That's
you know,
awesome.
it's a whole
Yes.
package. It's a whole package.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I love it. So there you have it. Book with Coach Anna, ihelpmoms.com, and you get a free potty training potty. That's just
Yes.
brilliant. And if you want to meet her in person, we have our toddler expo coming up again in April. So everyone love meeting Coach Anna, and we are just pumped to be your potty training headquarters for your amazing preschoolers. So thank you, Anna. We love
Thank
you.
you, Michelle.
And we
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see you back to school.
All right, love. We'll talk.